Shalom, family. Good to see everyone here. Hope you're doing well. Oh, well, this didn't take long, did it? Donald Trump was threatening to block everybody from going in and out of the Strait of Hormuz. He was vowing to use the U.S. Navy to keep everybody out, and they were going to stop everybody and make them turn around from going in there. And he was just all over the news running his mouth. And now Iran made the announcement today that the Strait of Hormuz is open, completely open. So much for that blockade, Donald Trump, that you were talking up all this time. Yeah, as you can see, y'all, that didn't even last 3 days. Okay. Oh, yes, it didn't even last 3 days. The taco is back. The taco is back. So you're going to hear people's responses. Man, look, Donald Trump at this point, stop coming on TV making all kinds of threats, because one thing that you have demonstrated throughout this entire war is you have a serious inability to stick with your word. Haven't seen him do it one time. Every time he puts something out there, sometimes it's not even a day and he's walking back what he said. It's absolutely embarrassing, y'all. It's embarrassing. Yes, you can have tacos on Friday too, not just on Tuesday. All right. And don't forget to pick up your hair products. 12 Tribes on Earth is available on all three stores: Shopify, Etsy, and TikTok Shop. Okay, so let's get to it. Please give me a one if you can see my screen. Okay, thank you.
Just posted. Iran just announced that the Strait of Iran is fully open and ready for full passage. Does he mean the Strait of Hormuz? And like clockwork, the stock market starts to surge. And here are the details of this so-called ceasefire. The U.S. is considering a $20 billion cash for uranium deal with Iran as part of a new 3-page peace plan. 1, the U.S. and Iran are negotiating over a 3-page plan to end the war. 2, one element under discussion is that the U.S. would release $20 billion in frozen Iranian funds in return for Iran giving up its stockpile of enriched uranium. 3, some of Iran's highly enriched uranium would be shipped to a third country and some would be down blended in Iran under international monitoring. 4, Iran would be allowed to have nuclear research reactors for the production of medical isotopes, but would pledge that all of its nuclear facilities would be above ground. And a second round of talks is scheduled for this Sunday. And just like that, oil prices start to plunge. The question really is, when will the gas prices start to go down? We already knew there were shortages of jet fuel. We've already seen the cost of everything go up. So if you know what I know, you know Donald Trump is doing this because he knows what's coming during the midterm elections. Ladies and gentlemen, do not take this as a good sign in terms of Donald Trump being a good president. Take this as a sign that Donald Trump is truly scared and panicking. Keep up the great work. Keep up the pressure on him.
Breaking news from Iran, where the foreign minister says the Strait of Hormuz is now fully open. Tehran shut down the waterway to most oil and gas tankers after the U.S. and Israel began their war with Iran. In a social media post, President Trump says the strait is now ready for full passage. but the U.S. blockade of Iranian ports remains in full force.
Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi releasing that statement the last hour saying, quote, in line with the ceasefire with Lebanon, the passage for all commercial vessels through the Strait of Hormuz is declared completely open for the remaining period of the ceasefire. We'll get to that in just a sec on the coordinated route as already announced by the Ports and Maritime Organization of the Islamic Republic of Iran. It is important to note the language they use, coordinated route, that hugs the Iranian coastline. So fully open might be open to interpretation. And again, this is not the only blockade in that neighborhood. The U.S. military has deployed the USS Abraham Lincoln aircraft carrier, at least a dozen destroyers south of the Strait of Hormuz. And they've already been turning back Iranian flagged vessels, many 14 already. And we have yet to hear from the U.S. military how they are going to respond to this announcement.
What does this mean for the war overall at this time?
Well, it tells you how multi-layered and complicated it is, because they specifically said it is because of Israel's ceasefire with Lebanon and by extension Hezbollah that they decided to open the port. That went into effect here at midnight, and it has been holding. There were a couple of skirmishes back and forth, missiles and rockets from both sides striking, but it has been a quiet day here for the first time in 6 or 7 weeks since the overall conflict began. So if that agreement between Israel and Lebanon holds for the next 10 days, that overlaps the U.S. agreement and Israeli agreement with Iran. And as Iran has made patently clear, those two things are related.
So I think it's really important here that we focus on the full post from Iran's foreign minister, because he said that while the strait is declared completely open for the remaining period of the ceasefire, he also mentioned a coordinated route as announced by the regime, which doesn't sound like it is fully open. And CIBC's Private Wealth, Rebecca Babin, noted that this market has been trading the headlines, the speed of the headlines, and not the certainty of flows, and that this move feels optimistic, especially as the market reprices the idea of reopening faster than it actually can reopen and the flows will resume. And President Trump also said on Truth Social just now that the blockade will continue, which again does not suggest a normalization of flows. Now, both WTI and Brent are below $90 and less than $20 above where they were prior to the war breaking out. We're also seeing big drops in product prices with gasoline and diesel futures tanking. European diesel is now at its lowest level in more than a month. And I did speak to Maersk this morning, and it was before the post from the Iranian foreign minister. So timing is important. But still, they said that there is no change in their approach and that they are not transiting the strait. So again, guys, clearly a big response in the market here, but we have not seen a resumption of flows. And it doesn't feel like flows will normalize anytime soon at this point.
So could there be a signing ceremony here in Islamabad, night falling here in Tehran, talks continuing, the Pakistani mediators trying to get the Iranians to soften their position, but a significant movement. The Iranian foreign minister saying that is opening the Strait of Hormuz to all commercial traffic. That is, he says, because there is a ceasefire in Lebanon that have been an integral part of their deal. So does this now pave the way for a speedy conclusion of these talks in Tehran with Pakistan's Field Marshal, the Army Chief Field Marshal Asim Munir, and the Interior Minister into their third day now? Does it mean that those talks can accelerate? Iran has said some of the things it wants additionally are sanctions lifted, frozen assets relieved. They want to see war reparations. We're talking about billions and billions of dollars. But of course, the core issue for the United States has been Iran's nuclear enrichment commitments. The United States wants that Iran won't build a nuclear weapon. President Trump says he has that commitment already. Indeed, President Trump, following up on what the Iranian foreign minister has tweeted, opening the Strait of Hormuz, President Trump saying this is positive developments. He says his blockade of the Strait of Hormuz is going to remain in place for now, pursuant on what Iran does next. But he does indicate that he thinks a lot of the deal making is already done. Of course, it is those final yards in any diplomatic process that are the hardest. But suffice to say, there is or appears to be some trust building, some momentum building, but the hardest bit's still going on in Tehran.
As the news broke that the Strait of Hormuz had been reopened by the Iranians, I wanted to try and get the reaction of Donald Trump. So I called him. He was in Nevada in the west of America. It was pretty early, but he had posted on his Truth Social account, and he answered. He told me that we feel good about the reopening of the Strait. And then he immediately told me that that they did it without help from NATO. He said, we did this amazing thing, referring to the war in Iran, but it's not open as it pertains to Iran because we have to finish the deal first. It's open for everybody else, he told me, but not as it pertains to Iran, reiterating that they have to conclude their deal with Iran first. I then asked him where it left the relationship with the UK and specifically Sir Keir Starmer, and he said, not good at all.
Our breaking news of just a few moments ago, Iran has announced it is opening up the Strait of Hormuz, reopening that vital waterway where 20% of the world's energy travels because of the ceasefire now in place between Lebanon and Israel. President Trump celebrating that news, but adding that the U.S. naval blockade would remain in effect, but would only pertain to Iran's ships, in a further effort to weaken Tehran's ability to revive its struggling economy. The president says it will remain closed, the blockade therefore remaining in place, until negotiations are completed. But he says that they're very close to being done, and that he thinks it will happen in the next handful of days. We will see. You can see right there, the market loves this news, surging, coming up on 700 points already. It's only been open about 6 minutes, as there are hopes here, continuing hopes from Wall Street that this war may be winding down. Now, certainly there are still hurdles to clear, but this is the breaking news of this morning about the Strait of Hormuz. We will keep you posted.
Good news and bad news. The good news is Iran says the Strait of Hormuz is open for 10 days as part of the ceasefire between Israel and Lebanon. And because of that, the price of a barrel of oil is way down, more than 10% today. The bad news, you're not going to see that price drop at the pump just yet. You can see with this headline, the price of a barrel of oil is in the 80s today, 10 days after it was more than $100 per barrel. That caused the average price of a gallon of gas here in LA County to jump to more than $6. But even now that the price of a barrel of oil is down significantly, it's still $5.95 a gallon on average in LA County. That's because experts have told us it can take at least 2 weeks for the price of a barrel of oil dropping to show up at the pump. That's frustrating for some drivers who say they feel like the price can go up in a second, but it can take weeks to go down. Experts say if this lower price per barrel holds for oil, we could start seeing lower gas prices by the end of the month. The price of a gallon of gas this time last year in LA was around $4.80. But if this ceasefire between Israel and Lebanon or the United States and Iran falls through, it could take much longer before this pain at the pump lets up.
Following that ceasefire agreement between Israel and Lebanon, now Iran's foreign minister has just announced the Strait of Hormuz is fully open for the duration of the truce. President Trump later confirmed the news on social media, thanking Iran. That announcement already sending oil prices plummeting while U.S. stocks are now set to open higher.
It looks as though we are seeing a massive movement in what had been a critical impasse in the way of trying to not just impose this ceasefire between the U.S. and Israel on one side and Iran on the other, but in trying to extend it further beyond its 2-week limit. So as we've been seeing talk about more talks in Pakistan to try to extend this ceasefire, to try to restore it. I mean, this is the thing, is that it was really hanging on by a thread. Now it looks as though with the Strait open, with now the ceasefire in Lebanon, north of where I am here, it looks as though the ceasefire can proceed with all parties' agreement, and that is going to be crucial going forward.
We've all agreed there was real unity in the meeting that we've just had. We want to see a return to talks and a lasting agreement, including the reopening of the Strait. We welcome the announcement that was made during our meeting, but we need to make sure that that is both lasting and a workable proposal. And if anything, it reinforces the need for the work that we've been doing this afternoon, because we're very clear that the mission that we're putting together is a defensive mission and that comes after a ceasefire. So that's why we brought the international group together to indicate how we will play our part.
Breaking news coming out of the UK, France, and Germany. Starmer announces a bold mission to reopen the Strait of Hormuz just after Trump and Iran announced it's open. Silly boys, it's open already. Germany also came out and said, we are going to open the Strait of Hormuz. This guy's oh my God, guys. What's wrong with these guys, man? What they're putting in the water in the UK and France and Germany. Starmer's main plan, we will lead a multinational mission to open the Strait of Hormuz. What the heck? Yo, what do you guys, this guy, you know what this reminds me of? This reminds me of somebody taking a mop and trying to like mop the ocean, right? Like what you do? What you do? You might as well take a mop and try to mop up the ocean, all right? Holy moly, guys, they couldn't wait. They couldn't wait. Holy moly. What do you guys have to say to Keir Starmer and Macron? And what's that guy, his name from Germany? Holy moly. All I have to say is excellent timing, guys. Excellent. Oh my God, guys. Holy moly. Y'all know what this reminds me of? I'm going to tell y'all a story. One time when I was younger, right? When I was like 15, 16 years old, my friend was fighting another guy, right? One of my friends was fighting another guy. He was like beating that guy up, but that other guy had friends, and then my friend and also my other best friend, which was my friend's brother, right? So my friend was already fighting the guy, and then my friend's brother was headed to fight the guy, and I was like, all right, I'm coming. And I was like taking off my shirt, taking off my watch. I even folded my shirt. By the time I got over, there, the fight was finished. By the time I got there, the fight was finished. And after that, my friend, after he beat the guy up, he was like, oh, what you gonna do now? What you gonna pick him up off the ground? My friend help him off the ground. My friend said, I already knocked him out. You didn't came over here 10 minutes late. He said, pick the guy up off the ground and make sure he don't like choke on himself. I said, oh my goodness, man. So yeah, so I helped pick the guy up off the ground. What else can I Germany and then France and the UK, they're about to send their soldiers on a frigate. Y'all go ahead and take that free vacation. Go ahead and enjoy the scenery. They're about to take the scenic route to the Strait of Hormuz. Guys, let me know what y'all think about this. It is 12:51 p.m. April 17, 2026. Follow me for more updates, breaking news, think pieces, and beyond.
The Iranian foreign minister, who seems to be really the guy in charge, or at least publicly for Iran, just fired this off on a post on X, and I'm going to read it for you now. In line with the ceasefire in Lebanon, the passage for all commercial vessels through Strait of Hormuz is declared completely open for the remaining period of ceasefire on the coordinated route as already announced by Ports and Maritime Organization of the Islamic Republic of Iran. So on that news, the stock market is flying through the roof. Now, while this is happening, the U.S. has brokered a 10-day ceasefire between Israel and Lebanon. Apparently, that was one of the conditions that Iran wanted. So the president's saying that he may host both countries at the White House in hopes of striking a lasting truce there. So a lot to go through. We'll take it moment by moment here.
Well, more reaction to that breaking news this hour that Iran says it's opening the Strait of Hormuz. That coming from a post on X by Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi. And this response on Truth Social from Donald Trump, as you can see, says Iran has just announced that the Strait of Iran, I think it means the Strait of Hormuz, is fully open and ready for full passage. Thank you. We should clarify it is in line with the ceasefire, so it could only be for 10 days. But nevertheless, the oil price per barrel has dropped as a result almost 10%. The price of a barrel of Brent crude has dropped by $8.46 or around 8.5% down to $90.93. That's happening in the last 20 minutes or so, and a similar drop, in fact, a greater drop for a barrel of West Texas intermediate crude as well. So the price of oil overall dropping by around 10% in response to that news from Iran's Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi that the Strait of Hormuz is going to open up. And as you can see, this on the screen is the response from President Donald Trump.
Well, y'all, it is back open. Now, there's no guarantee that it won't close again. You know, a lot can happen in the next 2 weeks. And the reason why it opened was Israel did a ceasefire with Lebanon. So we'll see how long that lasts, because usually Israel, they don't last long. They'll start dropping bombs by the next day. So we shall see. So y'all, I'm going to go ahead and conclude. We are almost getting dark where I am, and I got to get ready to start Sabbath. I thank each and every one of you for being here. I do have my live saved. I just got to get them posted for tomorrow. So if I don't see you again this evening, then I will see you tomorrow for the Shabbat and Bible study. Shalom, family. Oh, I got one person to thank here. Black RU 365. Thank you so much for the super sticker and your support for my channel. Thank you. Shalom, family.